The root of college esports growth starts here. This is College Esports Now. Tune in to College Esports Now for the most exciting highlights and updates in collegiate gaming. Get ready for non-stop action and excitement. Catch us live every Friday and Sunday right here on ESTV. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of College Esports Now. I'm your host, Paulie Hype, and later we'll be joined by my co-host, Katie Scott, for more of this week's college esports news. For now, let's head around the U for the latest in matchups, competition, and standings. First off, we start with Monday, April 3rd for our traditional conference play, starting out with the ECAC Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Round 1 playoffs, featuring New York Tech versus University at Albany. It's day one, week one of the ECAC playoffs, and we have to start off with a bang as New York Tech and Albany compete against each other in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Albany started off strong as D-Danger was able to take out the first two New York Tech members with only one stock remaining before falling to Omen. Omen would not last long as Albany's Razor made quick work with their Greninja to take the one-set lead. It was a lot closer at the start of the second set as both teams lost their starting players, DLT King and Razor, but Albany's D-Danger quickly swung the advantage back into his team's favor. New York Tech's Sanarin tried to bring it back for a potential set 3, but Albany was able to close it out to move on to the second round to face off against the third-seeded St. Joseph's. Next up is Tuesday, April 4th for the ECAC Valorant Round 1 playoffs, featuring Stevenson University versus Ole Miss Esports. We have a rematch from the regular season as Stevenson is looking for revenge against Ole Miss in round 1 of the ECAC Valorant playoffs. The first half of Pearl was all about Stevenson as they kept on getting flawless round after round while Ole Miss had to use everything to try and stop them. Nothing could stop Stevenson as they dominated all the way through map Pearl and set their sights upon dominating the Neps map, which was Ascent as well. This time around, it was Ole Miss that was having that early tempo lead as Stevenson were having a rough time against them, barely getting a 2-round lead by the half. Though as soon as the half flipped, so did the momentum as Stevenson were ignited and took the map 13-7 and the series 2-0. The night would not be over for Stevenson as they have a tougher opponent coming up in Cal Poly Pomona. Next up in our conference season, it's Wednesday, April 5th for the ECAC Overwatch 2 quarterfinals, University of Delaware versus University at Albany. In the fall 2022 playoffs, Delaware eliminated Albany 3-2, and in the spring 2023 regular season, Albany beat Delaware 3-2. It's a rivalry through and through as Albany and Delaware meet a third time in the spring 2023 playoffs, but only one can move on. Delaware had no answer for their rival's aggression on Lijiang Tower as Albany took the map 1 in convincing fashion. Delaware would not take the loss from their rivals easily as they came back with a vengeance on Kings Row to tie up the series. Despite Albany having a little mishap with the C9 on Dorado, they were still able to convincingly push back the Delaware payload and push it all the way to series point. Unfortunately for Delaware, their spark of life was put out by Albany as they were able to take the final map and claim that series with a 3-1 win. Next up is the ECAC Rocket League Playoffs Round 2, LA Tech versus Farmingdale State. ECAC Rocket League has a stacked playoffs bracket as a total of 46 teams are vying for that coveted first place title at the end of the month, but only one team can make it to the end. For today's matchup, Farmingdale got the early series advantage as Otto scored the only goal in Game 1. The speed was a lot more fast-paced in Game number 2, as both Otto and Durney Boy were able to get hat tricks to mark off another game win in their corner. Otto used his magic again in Game 3 to dominate the whole 5 minutes to send Farmingdale to series point. LA Tech, however, would not go quietly into the night, as both their defense and offense came alive as they were able to beat out Farmingdale in both games 4 and 5, trying to complete the reverse sweep. It looked like LA Tech would snatch up Game 6 as well, but MC Finest stopped the drought and sent us to the first overtime of the series. Overtime would not last very long as Farmingdale slammed in one last game to move on and keep their playoff dreams alive. Farmingdale looking unstoppable. Next up is Thursday, April 6th for the ECC Valorant quarterfinals, featuring Utica University versus College of Staten Island. We saw this matchup a couple weeks ago in the regular season, and now in the ECC playoffs, both Staten Island and Utica are ready to duke it out to see who's the better team. It looked like Staten Island were vying for the early lead as player Shifty got an amazing 4K to start off, but Utica were quick to answer back with a flawless round of their own. It looked like Icebox might have us go all the way to overtime, but Fordo was able to clutch up and take the map in Staten Island's favor. Map 2 saw the teams go to Haven, and the first half was neck and neck as it ended up being a tied game at 6-6. Utica were able to sneak in a couple round wins in the second half, but it was the Staten Island show as Shifty and company kept on popping off. The chapter ends for Utica on this day, while Staten Island still has more chapters to come as their next opponent is the first-seeded New York Tech. Next up is Friday, April 7th for the ECC League of Legends Finals, featuring Farmingdale State College versus St. Thomas University. After weeks and weeks of battles on the Rift, we are finally down to the top 2 teams to decide who will represent the ECC at the CLAW 2023 Championship, Farmingdale and St. Thomas. St. Thomas had the early lead in Game 1 as their jungler Cooley scored a triple kill at mid, but it all went downhill from there as Farmingdale won fight after fight and eventually took the 1-0 lead in the series. Game 2 was neck and neck with both teams having a highlight moment, but it all swung to St. Thomas's favor as Nami Swan stole the Baron to keep the game going. The game would go on for nearly 15 more minutes until St. Thomas decimated Farmingdale in a team fight with the death timer so long the series was now all tied up. The St. Thomas momentum was carried into Game 3 as they took all the kills and objectives to bring themselves the match point. Farmingdale would not take that loss quietly as they turned up the aggression to 110% and rolled through the St. Thomas defenses to take us to the final game with silver scrapes. The final game was an absolute bloodbath as St. Thomas and Farmingdale were trading kills and objectives until it came down to one final fight. Farmingdale were the ones to pull the trigger and deleted the backline of St. Thomas to finally claim the victory and take the crowns of ECC League of Legends champions. Next up is our feature presentation, the Esports U Last Chance Qualifiers. Let's start out with Monday, April 3rd for Overwatch Day 1. The first day of the Overwatch Last Chance Qualifier for the CECC Finals was slated to have a handful of powerhouse names join, such as Northwood, Maryville, University, California, San Diego, UC Irvine, and many more. Unfortunately, due to some unforeseen circumstances, Northwood and San Diego Gold dropped out of the tournament, leaving the bracket open for teams like Rutgers and UC Berkeley to make it to their respective bracket finals. The first of the other 2 teams to make it was Maryville, who had an easy 2-0 victory over their first 2 opponents, Old Dominion and Delaware, but were challenged to a hard-fought 2-1 victory over St. Thomas. UCI, on the other hand, swept their side of the bracket against the likes of UNLV and UC San Diego Navy to make it to the bracket finals. 4 teams remain at the end of the night to fight for the single spot to CECC Texas. Next up is Tuesday, April 4th for the Last Chance Qualifier Overwatch Day 2. The second day of Overwatch has rolled around, and with 4 teams remaining, it was a battle to the end to see who would clinch the spot and qualify into CECC Texas. Maryville took on Rutgers Reign, their second team, and with dominance they took the series 3-0. On the other side of the bracket, UCI took on University of California, Berkeley, and also swept that match 3-0 even faster than the Maryville match. This left 2 powerhouse teams of Maryville and UCI competing for the single qualification spot. The match started off with an extremely close battle on Oasis that left UCI leading the series 1-0, but the fire under Maryville was lit. They seemed as if they were finally sitting up straight in their chairs, ready to take the win for themselves. For 3 straight maps, we got to watch the true power of Maryville's roster and watch each player shine respectively on their own. Maryville took the series 3-1 and locked in their spot to qualify for CECC Texas. Next up is Wednesday, April 5th for the last chance qualifier Valorant Day 1. In a long day of Valorant, we went from 54 total teams down to 8, watching favorites and previous CECC attendees eliminated as only 1 team from all of the Valorant bracket would qualify for the CECC LAN in Texas. The first match we watched was Akron vs GVSU, and they both showed how desperate they were to continue their path to the finals, but GVSU fell short, losing on Pearl 13-4. As we continued through the bracket, we watched the Dark Knights take games off of teams we expected to make it further and continue their reign. In the other side of the bracket, we watched UCI fall to British Columbia and witnessed UBC's run to the finals, also taking down tournament favorites Oklahoma Christian. While this was happening, Houston and Texas A&M ran through their respective brackets and left it to be a Texas vs. Canada bracket semifinals, which we would be able to see the result of tomorrow. Next up is Thursday, April 6th for the last chance qualifier Valorant Day 2. Although we were only able to catch 1 match from the first bracket, there was still a lot to show from what to expect going forward in that same bracket. We were able to witness the true power of Dark Knights from UCI representing themselves against the Fisher Tea Party team as they took a quick 2-0 series on collegiate favorite maps Ascent and Haven. Pajko is really something else when it comes to playing Duelist. He showed us how it should be done and consistently topped the leaderboards in each match we watched them play. We slimmed down the 8 teams to just 2 at the end of the day. In the first bracket, we had Mizzou and Dark Knights faced off in a long 3-game series. The Dark Knights rose and fought to the grand finals match. On the other side, we sat through the extensive matches, both semifinal matches, going to 3 games and multiple overtimes. In those matches, we watched as both UH Premier from Hawaii and TAMU fell to UBC and Alberta respectively. This left the Battle of Canada to see who would face off against Dark Knights. And though they were fought hard, UBC would fall to Alberta 2-0 and send us to tomorrow. Next up is Thursday, April 7th for the last chance qualifier Rocket League. We hopped in a little late to the Rocket League bracket, but personally I think we got the best part of it for last. As we got to the semifinals, we followed the West Virginia vs. Ball State matchup and got to watch an amazing full best-of-5 series with nearly a reverse sweep from Ball State. The first 2 games were easily favored to West Virginia, as they had accumulated 5 goals in comparison to Ball State's 2. As the next 2 games went on, Daffy and Zath both took over, looking to bring it back for their Ball State team. But unfortunately, they couldn't close it out and were left in the dust, missing one of the 2 qualification spots. The other semifinal match, which happened off-stream, happened to be a very similar story with a near reverse sweep by UT Dallas, but Indian River State managed to close out the match 3-2. As the finals rolled around, it felt like deja vu. We watched as IRSC took 2 swift games off of West Virginia, but suddenly a comeback would start and leave us in a 2-2 situation. West Virginia University, in search of a reverse sweep with Indian River State College, hoping to lock out the first place in the LCQ, ended in dramatic fashion as we headed to overtime with a score of 2-2 and one last goal, one last game win would take the series. It took 28 seconds for a winner to be determined, and C. Bass from Indian River State would be the one to do it. Indian River State closed out the series and won 3-2 to qualify for CECC Texas. Next up, it's Friday, April 7th for the last chance qualifier Valorant Day 3. 2 teams enter and only 1 will qualify for CECC Texas between Dark Knights and University of Alberta. The finals brings us to maps Pearl, Icebox, and Fracture as the decider, avoiding the special collegiate maps we usually see. Map 1 on Pearl seemed promising, but the good old reliable Pajko continued his dominance from the rest of the week and started his day off with a 21-kill game with his team close behind, leading them to a 13-6 victory. This wasn't the worst that Alberta would feel though, as Icebox proved to be incredibly worse. The Grand Finals brings two of the best teams together, but this time around, it felt like Dark Knights wanted this spot into CECC badly and took down Alberta 13-1 on Icebox, only dropping the third round. Dark Knights clinched their spot into CECC in dominant fashion, all attending UCI, but representing themselves. Impressive stuff. We finished off this week with Saturday, April 8th for a special event in the CECC Big Sky Qualifier Rocket League. We have 5 teams competing in the CECC Big Sky Qualifier, but up until the last round, 2 teams remained undefeated and the frontrunners for this event, University of Montana and Weber State. It was the only round 5 match, but the teams were duking it out like their lives depended on it, going back and forth all the way until a deciding Game 5. Despite the overall series being so close, Game 5 was all about Montana as they convincingly defeated Weber State to take the first seed into the Grand Finals to play Weber State yet again. Grand Finals followed a similar script as Montana took 1, then Weber, then Montana again, and finally Weber State took Game 4 to bring us all the way to one final game between the two juggernauts. Unfortunately for Weber State, today was not their day as University of Montana took the win and qualified for the CECC Finals in Arlington. We'll see them in just about a month to compete against some of the very best schools in the entire nation. Thank you for watching Around the U and catching up with all of the collegiate esports standings. But next, let's head over to my co-host Katie Scott for the latest in college esports news.
Thank you so much, Polly. I'm feeling a very good start for the new season this year. Let's start with some news. Hold on tight because we're diving right in. Last Thursday, the Week 6 of NACL Spring Rocket League Series took place. And you know what that means. Oregon and Carolina went all out in the best of 5 series. We know University of Carolina is on top of a lot, having dominated the scene in every match. And while they have been incredibly consistent, University of Oregon has shown some grace too. Although it hasn't been played as many matches as Carolina at this point, with Mira and Starcoin Hero providing great casting, let's see how these teams did in the field. First match, and Carolina almost scores on the first instance, persisting on the pressure throughout the rest of the first match. Reaping what it says, Carolina gets the first goal in, quickly followed with a sneaky goal from Oregon's part, only for Carolina to rematch even quicker and break the tie for another goal, and even going for a third and last goal, leaving the marker 3-1 in the first match, in favor of Carolina. The second match starts with Oregon turning the tables by scoring first, completely countering Carolina and scoring a second and even a third goal. Carolina, not having it, goes in strong and scores 2 goals, in which Oregon answers, scoring a 4th goal to impose dominance, along with the final 5th goal, making the last extra goal from Carolina leave the marker 5-3 in favor of Oregon. With 1 win to each team, the third game starts and both teams seem to even the playing field, throwing the ball back and forth until Carolina breaks the tie with the first and only goal of the match. This immediately goes back to an even field, and even when Oregon got really close to scoring once, the game ended with 1-0 in favor of Carolina. In a best of 5, Carolina just needs 1 more victory, and as the 4th match starts, it's an immediate callback to last one as both teams seem to defend really well. But again, as last match, Carolina manages to break the silence and score 3 times in a row. And then a 4th one after some hustle from Oregon. Last game ended in a 4-0 in favor of Carolina, making it the victory of the night. Pretty engaging stuff from both teams, even when Oregon lost it, really looking like they gave it their all. And that's something worthy of respect. Can't wait to see Carolina moving forward. Esports continues to grow in popularity, and Willackeys University is joining in on the fun. The university is planning to launch an esports program this fall and is celebrating the achievement with an event on April the 17th called An Evening of Esports with eStars. It will feature speakers from eStars Studio and is free and open to the public. Institutions of higher learning and high schools are adding esports to their student offerings, not only for participation, but also for the potential to draw large viewerships that can generate big bucks. Wilkes University is taking its esports program seriously, setting up a dedicated gaming center with specialized equipment including LED uplighting, esports tables, and gaming chairs. The gaming center is for both gamers and spectators and will feature large screen televisions for viewing competitions and a real-time ticker. Wilkes University's esports program will offer competition in 4 popular games: Overwatch, League of Legends, Rocket League, and Super Smash Bros. The program will be housed within the digital design and media program, and it will be open to students of all majors and interests. Interested in applying? Stockton University's Rocket League team is making a triumphant return to the Collegiate Rocket League World Championships. After an intense run to win the North American Last Chance qualifier on April 2nd, the Ospreys defeated Ball State and St. Clair to secure their spot in the competition. This year's championship will be held in Dallas from June 2nd to the 4th, with the 16 qualifying teams competing for a share of $75,000 in scholastic awards. What's probably even more satisfying is that Stockton University's Rocket League team had to fight hard to earn their spot in this championship. With a 6-8 record in the spring season and a 29-31 overall record, they had to win 4 best-of-7 matches to secure their spot. They even had to come back from a game-tying goal in overtime to win their match against Ball State. This is a huge accomplishment for the team, and both senior Brian Boos and sophomore John Morandino also are thrilled to be heading back to the CRL World Championships. The competition is tough, with 10 North American universities and 6 European schools vying for the title. But with their grit and determination, the Ospreys are sure to put up a good fight. To watch Stockton University's Rocket League team in action, head to the official Rocket League Twitch channel. Let's cheer them on as they compete for the championship. Montana high schools are increasingly embracing the world of esports, with about a dozen schools forming teams within the past 2 years. The University of Montana's Grizzly Esports team, which started as a student club in 2012 and became an official university sport in 2019, is leading the charge in competitive video game in the state. The team recently hosted a Big Sky State Games tournament featuring other collegiate teams from the region as well as local high school teams. UM's Grizzly Esports also formed the Montana High School Championship Series, which now features 15 schools from all over Montana. Besides promoting teamwork and competition, we know esports can also serve as a pathway to college and various careers such as information technology work, game design, and event management. Many players on UM sports teams are surprised to discover that playing competitive video games in college is possible, and even has led some to pursue careers in esports operations. With esports continuing to grow in popularity at both the professional and university levels, it's no wonder that high schools are also jumping on board. St. Cloud State University is making strides in the world of college sports with the launch of their new varsity team and gaming arena, as well as 2 minors in the growing field of esports. This move by the university is one of the first of its kind in the state. At the launch of the esports arena, 6 St. Cloud State University students sat in a row, clad in matching jerseys, staring intently at computer screens as they maneuvered virtual cars in a fast-paced game of video soccer. The action was broadcasted to larger screens across the room, where a gaggle of spectators sitting in folding chairs erupted with hollers and cheers when one of their players scored a goal. University leaders are using esports to help attract students to the Central Minnesota School. The varsity team is one of 125 from 108 colleges across the country to compete in the National Esports Collegiate Conference. It plays against 8 teams in the Heartland Conference, which includes several Iowa schools, as well as Dunwoody College of Technology in Minneapolis. In a smart move, the university is using esports to help build campus camaraderie by hosting free community gaming events and creating esports spaces in dorms. They are also creating career paths with 2 new minor programs in the subject, including esports management and esports casting. Many of the students in these programs don't consider themselves avid gamers, but the classes supplement students in business, economics, science, and engineering. It's clear esports is in St. Cloud to stay. Are you a gamer looking for the next big thing? Look no further than the Level Up Showcase. This event brings together the most talented students from game development programs in Ontario, giving them a chance to showcase their creations to the world. With record-breaking counts of team projects from various academic institutions, you can expect to see some truly outstanding work in game design, animation, and computer graphics. And with games using the most current technology and gaming platforms, from motion sensors to VR devices, there's something for everyone at the Level Up Showcase. It's an incredible opportunity for these students to get their work in front of a wider audience and potentially kickstart their careers in the gaming industry. And for other attendees, it's a chance to see some truly cutting-edge games and technology. If you're a gamer like me, you won't want to miss the Level Up Showcase. It's a one-of-a-kind event that brings together the best and brightest in game development, and it's sure to be an extraordinary experience. New Jersey just opened its first ever esports college. Now, this piece of news got me all fired up. This new college aims to provide students with the necessary skills and training to excel in the rapidly growing esports industry, which is projected to generate billions in revenue in the coming years. The curriculum is designed to cater to the needs of aspiring esports athletes, coaches, managers, and analysts. Students can expect to receive a comprehensive education in various aspects of esports, including game strategy, team coordination, marketing, and event management. What's more, the college will also focus on strengthening players' physical and mental well-being, emphasizing the importance of fitness, nutrition, and mental health in the realm of competitive gaming. The facility consists of former professional players, coaches, and industry insiders, all with a wealth of knowledge and first-hand experience in the competitive gaming scene. This means that students will receive top-notch instruction and unparalleled insights into the world of esports, preparing them for successful careers in the bargaining industry. The campus features a dedicated esports arena complete with high-end gaming systems, large screens, and seatings for spectators. In addition, students will have access to specialized training rooms and equipment, as well as advanced analytics tools to help them refine their skills and strategies. The college also plans to collaborate with top gaming companies to provide internships and other real-world opportunities. By offering a dedicated curriculum, experienced faculty, and cutting-edge facilities, the college aims to pave the way for a new generation of esports professionals. FitGamer has just announced that Dr. Brett Shelton is joining their team. Dr. Shelton has been a pioneer in the esports collegiate space for years throughout his work at Boise State University. He is known for his expertise in curriculum development, knowledge of the esports collegiate landscape, and passion for improving the esports ecosystem as a whole. As we know, FitGamer is a performance and player development company in the esports and gaming industry and has developed the first app specifically designed to meet the mental and physical demands of gamers and esports athletes. With the transition of the Cloud9 training grounds to FitGamer, the company can provide holistic health tools as well as comprehensive training experience that provides personalized game training, competitive league play, coaching, and community engagement. FitGamer has been a leader in the industry, and Dr. Shelton's addition to the team will only help to enhance their offerings. With his background in education and cognitive studies, he will be able to bring a unique perspective to FitGamer's training programs. I'm looking forward to seeing how FitGamer will continue to innovate and improve their offerings with Dr. Shelton's help. With all that work, he's hopefully getting vacations in Hawaii. But speaking of which, A group of University of Hawaii students recently made waves in the esports world, competing in a first-of-its-kind tournament in the front of more than 70,000 people both in person and virtually. The students hailing from 6 different UH campuses battled it out in Super Smash Bros. Over 3 days in the Kauai Con Festival, which more than 20 students participated. The UH Manoa Esports program, which has been named the top collegiate esports program in the country, took home the top prize at the tournament, while Kauai Community College came in as runner-up. The students also had the chance to play against professional esports players and showcase their skills to more than 50,000 viewers online. Rashid Jeff Bernard Arala, a freshman at UH Manoa, even served as Kauai CC's team manager due to his close ties to Garden Island. Looking forward, Arala hopes that events like this will continue to highlight the growing collegiate esports scene in Hawaii. Maybe one of these UH students will go on to become professional esports players themselves. Well, that wraps up what I have for you guys today. I'm handing it back over to you, Polly, to cover the rest of today's program.
Thank you so much for joining us for week number 8 of College Esports Now. I hope you're up to date with all the latest action and news in the college esports universe. From everyone at College Esports Now, we'll see you next week for all of the hype, storylines, and competition in college esports.